Welcome to this lecture on the literature review. The content of this lecture is from the Creswell text, Research Design, Qualitative, Quantitative, and Mixed Methods Approaches. You can expect to see many of the details of this lecture on your first quiz. First of all, I will go over the organization of Creswell's Chapter 2 on review of the literature. The chapter is organized into different sections such as the research topic, the literature review, the use of literature, design techniques, definitions of terms, and outline of what is the most appropriate method to pick for your literature review. Some of the things you will need to consider when selecting your research topic are the subject or subject matter of your proposed study, and you want to describe that in as few words as possible with a central idea you want to learn about. You want to look to see if the topic is researchable. Do you have access to the participants? Do you have resources to collect and analyze the information within the time limitations of this course? The topic should be researched if the research will add to the literature about the topic, other scholars or students will be interested in the topic, and a study of it will advance your own professional goals. The purposes of the literature review are: you'll share the results of other studies. You'll relate the study to the larger dialogue in the literature. You provide a framework for establishing the importance of the study, and you provide a benchmark for comparing the results to other findings. Different methods have different uses of literature. Quantitative studies use literature to provide direction to the research question and hypothesis. They introduce a problem, introduce theory, and compare results with existing literature or make predictions. Qualitative studies use literature to introduce the problem or issue, describe an orienting framework, and to compare and contrast findings. And for mixed method studies, you would use the literature for either a qualitative or a quantitative approach. The steps of conducting a literature review that you should follow are: identify keywords, search the library catalogs, identify key reports or articles that you want to use in your literature review. You would design a literature map, or also known as a cognitive map. You could also go with an outline. Draft the summaries of the relevant articles, and then write a literature review, organizing it by important concepts. The process you should use when selecting literature material. You would start with a broad synthesis, such as encyclopedias or Wikipedia if you are new to the topic. Turn to the journal articles in national journals. These are usually the best resources for research reports. You consider the books related to the topics examine conference papers and presentations, scan dissertation databases. You can also scan different government databases, and you consider the reports that you find available on the internet. What you want to do once you get all the information, you find the literature you want to use, and you want to create abstracts of them. You will draft abstracts that summarize the selected articles. For research studies, you want to make a list of what the problem is, the central purpose of the research. You want to state information about the population and sample, review the key results, and point out the methodological flaws in the research. You might also want to look at the limitations of the research. For non-empirical studies, you mention the problem, state the central theme, state the major conclusions, and mention the flaws in reasoning or logic. Definition of terms. You should identify and define terms that readers need to understand in your literature review or research proposal. You define terms introduced in all sections of your research. So you want to define the terms that are in the title of your study, in the problem statement, in the purpose statement, the research questions, hypothesis or objectives in the literature review, different concepts you use in your conflict story. You want to describe the theoretical base of the study, and you want to have method sections. In the case of this class, you'll be using observations, surveys, and interviews. For the purposes of this course, your literature review needs to be brief. I have created a rubric on how I will grade your literature review. The grading rubric includes focusing on a main idea, a problem statement, and a detailed question. I will be looking at the quality of the information that you have in the literature review. You describe the methodology you use, and Creswell is an excellent source of information in describing whether you're going to be looking at qualitative data, quantitative data, or data from mixed methods. I will be looking at the style of your literature review, the citations and references that you use in your literature review. Your literature review should be between 3 and 5 pages. And on this, please do not write a lengthy literature review. Just show me that you know the gist of how to write a literature review. And lastly, the grammar, usage, and mechanics of your review should be sound. I look forward to reading the first drafts of your literature review in the coming weeks.